Factorising. Factorise the following. And the first one we have is 3 to the n plus 5, take away 3 to the n. Now, let's think about 3 to the n plus 5. We could write that as 3 to the n multiplied by 3 to the 5. We're just applying the index law. A to the m multiplied by a to the n is a to the m plus n, but we're applying it in this direction. So that would be 3 to the n multiplied by 3 to the 5, take away 3 to the n. And that gives us a common 3 to the n that we can take out. And then we would have, remember that 3 to the n itself is 3 to the n multiplied by 1. We'd have 3 to the 5, take away 1. Now, 3 to the power 5 is 243. Take away 1 is 242. So that would be 242 multiplied by 3 to the power n. We can do the same sort of thing here. So 2 to the n plus 4 can be split to 2 to the n multiplied by 2 to the 4. And then we've got take away 16. And I'll write that as 16 times 1. You'll see why in a second. Because 2 to the power 4 is 16. So I've got 16 multiplied by 2 to the n. Take away 16 times 1. And that means I have a common 16. Open a bracket. And then we've got 2 to the n. Take away 1. So what comes next? This looks a bit more complicated. So what I'm going to do is split this first one. 3n plus 1. Let's write that as 2n take away 1 plus n plus 2. And then we've got plus 2 to the 2n take away 1. Well, just using that first index law again, I can write this as 2 to the 2n minus 1 multiplied by 2 to the n plus 2. Note how this 2n take away 1 plus n plus 2 gives us 3n plus 1. And then we've got 2 to the 2n take 1 multiplied by 1. So I have a 2 to the 2n take away 1 that I can take out. And then in the bracket, I'm left with 2 to the n plus 2 plus 1. This next one makes use of the difference of two squares, which we've seen before. We know that 9 is 3 squared. So we can say that's 3 squared to the power x, take away 16, which of course is 4 squared. Now, we know there's an index law that says a to the m to the n is a to the m n, and of course multiplying things means the order doesn't matter. So we can have that as a to the n to the m. So I can change this to be 3 to the x squared, take away 4 squared. And the difference of two squares tells us that a squared minus b squared always factorizes as a minus b, a plus b. So what we have here is that 3 to the x is in the position of being the a, and 4 in the position of being the b. So we can write that as 3 to the x minus 4 and 3 to the x plus 4. And finally here, we're going to try to factorize this. Now 4, of course, is 2 squared. So we've got 2 squared to the x plus 2 lots of 2 to the x, take away 3. And as we did over here, we can interchange the 2 and the x. So we've got 2 to the x squared plus twice 2 to the x, take away 3. And you should recognize this as a quadratic. If I let y be equal to 2 to the x here, then what we've got is y squared plus 2y minus 3. And we can factorize that into 2 brackets, y and y, 3 and 1, and we want a plus 2y. So this one's a plus and that one's a minus. And therefore, we have 2 to the x plus 3 and 2 to the x take away 1.